children or elderly starving to death when they have it available. It's sometimes also the political culture of sharing what you have with someone who doesn't have it. And I don't say that is a panacea or a solution for the shortage of food in some parts of the country, but the distribution mechanism, the philosophy behind distribution of wealth in this country, the fact that we focus on remote areas, neglected areas of this country, even in terms of our social security programs, you cannot imagine at one point starvation will happen in spite of the availability of food, or in spite of the goodwill of some from the outside who would like to provide food for this country. It's a distortion. It's a deliberate distortion. And sometimes I question those who talk about this grave situation in this country. If you're serious about what you're saying, why don't you go and give what you have and what you want to give me to those children who are dying of starvation in Somalia, to those families who've been driven out of their homes and are now in destitution in that part, and go everywhere. It's Sudan, it's South Sudan, it's other parts of the country, and I think we shouldn't be very unrealistic or even pretentious about our policies and what we have achieved and what we want to do, and not exaggerate or even misuse some of the issues for other ends. And I say here, this is not a place for people to come about and talk on issues of aid, starvation, communities neglected. But it's like saying, what about Alabama? Katrina came and devastated, and then I can see now people in destitution there, in many other places. How come this nation, this great nation, the greatest, the strongest economy in the world, was not able to deal? And would it make sense for me to say, well, this and that household was destroyed and was neglected? And I can talk about a phenomenon that's attractive or even provocative to anyone, but I mean, would it be better sometimes to mind your own business and see what you have and what you are doing to your own people, rather than go and point a finger at someone who is not even in a position to deal with all these issues? It's a question of pretension. Pretension has become fashionable, and you can tolerate it as part of the psyche of those who always say it. But here again, I think no starvation, no famine, and no serious problems that has resulted because of what they call rejection of the government to accept aid or support or donations from outside.
The last thing I was curious, what is the biggest misunderstanding or misperception that the rest of the world has about Eritrea, do you think?
Majority of the rest of the world have the right perception. A minority in what you can call the rest of the world may have the wrong perception about Eritrea. You may want to talk about the United States and this and that, but if you tell me what the administration says or tries to see is what is right in the world, I will ask you, what about the American people? Do they see it in the eyes of the administration? Do they see it always in the eyes of the administration? And do you take that as the rest of the world? Who is the rest of the world in the first place?
If you were to try to explain Eritrea, which is a new country and a lot of people are not familiar with it, is there something that you'd like to clarify to the world that to correct what they might have a misunderstanding or misimpression they might have about Eritrea?
Who is the world? That's the problem, and because sometimes people or some governments think they are the world. It's amazing. It's a distortion of reality. Who is the world? Sometimes we need to know.
Let's know the United States, since that's my readership. What would you like to say to the citizens of the United States?
I can tell you one thing. I can speak in front of everyone, and I believe, and I'm sure, the people of the United States will appreciate what we will have to say about ourselves, about our own reality, if they know the truth. If they are told the truth, I can assure you, majority of Americans will say Eritrea or see Eritrea in the right perspective. When there is a lot of distortion, when there is a lot of disinformation going on, do you expect majority of the people to have a clear understanding of what this country is all about? And even talking about the United States, are we talking about individuals within the administration who have their own myopic ways of seeing things, telling everybody else because of their muscles and big voice that this reality is to be seen in what they believe should be the scope of others in viewing that reality? It's a very sad thing, but I'm not discouraged because I can see what is happening in the United States. I can imagine that we are on the right track, and we shouldn't be discouraged or even disappointed by one or two events or even attitudes of a number of institutions or individuals who are trying to distort the reality and the real picture of this country in front of the the Americans. It's not true. Tell the truth, and then people can have their own views and understanding. And when you talk about the world, these days it become very fashionable. I mean, administration officials will come and say, the international community is saying this and that. We, the international community. Why don't you say, I, as a person, I, myself, as an individual, have this? Why do you have to say you do it on behalf of everybody? Is that democratic? Do you represent everybody else? Do you speak on behalf of everyone else? Do you have the mandate? How do you do that? Anyway, for me, I say the picture of this country everywhere in the world, for those who know the truth and who are told the truth, is always very positive and encouraging.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
بزحلني دليتي وصاني تفكو صوتلو نبحر لما انتاي زقمو عيراي شاني وبزربات خنسي عيراي محدنيو بتمني زوزي قد مفاني ومستاي زماتزي دحر مقرالو سمسرحتي سقوم بزهاي سقوم